Hello, hello. This is the my artifact episode number 3331, 2, 3. I'm not really sure. Okay, yeah. Today's date is 12th of February 2025. It's been almost like a night at 10:30 p.m. All right. Okay, so it's been almost like a week. I haven't been really recording any of the artifact episode, and reason is that ki um okay, so I was actually decided that ki I should supposed to be upload my artifact in YouTube platform. Okay, I and it was quite a challenging. Like basically, this thing I was actually uploading some of the content, some of the artifact episodes on the YouTube platform from last year. Okay, yeah, but usually those artifacts are belong from last year. Okay, yeah. And I was actually recording artifact since 2015. It's been almost like a decade. Okay, yeah. So it was too much. Like, let me tell you one thing. This is artifact episode number 3331, 32 maybe. Okay, yeah. So almost like a 3000 artifact I recorded. Okay, yeah. And not just 3000, like there are so many other things that I also recorded, like my English sessions, some of the thoughts inside of my head, and everything. I have almost like a 4,000s of files of recording files, 4,000s of files throughout this entire decade. Okay, yeah, and I decided that I should supposed to be upload that content on YouTube platform. Why? Okay, why? It's a kind of like a something that ki I need to understand my point of perspective from 10 years ago, 5 years ago. What is exactly is this thing? What do you mean by that? So probably is this thing, the things that you are actually hearing is called artifact episode. Okay, yeah, and it's pretty boring while hearing. Why? Because it has a lot of lag, lot of kind of like a something. This thing is not really interested. Okay, I found the kind of like a something really such a way so that I would consume kind of like an artifact throughout reading. Okay, yeah, because as also last year, sorry, last now not last year, this year, my kind of like a resolution is that ki I should supposed to be start reading. Okay, yeah, like basically it's this thing, I am kind of like a something very less reader person. Okay, yeah, and this year my resolution that ki I should supposed to be start reading more. Okay, yeah, and what is actually the best thing that I should supposed to be read more is that my thought process. And I have my thought process. I recorded my thought process in the artifact episode from last 10 years. Okay, yeah. So just like that, ki I found out a way that how do I supposed to convert that audio format into the text, so that I would kind of like simply read that particular text, which kind of like some very interesting way, so that I would kind of like understand that, and basically figure it out that my point of perspective regarding about 10 years ago, what is at least this thing and that. Okay, yeah, and okay. So basically this thing, what I do is that whatever the kind of like a things that I say in the artifact, I uploaded on the YouTube platform. Okay, yeah, in the YouTube platform, you could like a YouTube is kind of like a simply create auto generated subtitles. Okay, yeah, like whatever the things that I say, YouTube is kind of like a creating that auto generated, means like that it automatically generate the subtitles regarding about whatever the things that I say. Okay, so I just have to copy that title. So I just have to copy that all the subtitles, paste it on the chat gpt is by the way AI. Okay, yeah, and convert it into kind of like a readable context, like a readable text, so that I would kind of like simply read that particular text, and print that text into the kind of like a book, and then I read that book. I was kind of like doing this thing for almost like a month ago. Yeah, like basically a month or like 2 months ago, I was kind of like somebody decided that "Ki let's, like I was actually uploading this artifact from the last year now. I was just uploading, I was not really doing anything. Okay, just uploading, and I probably never really hear anything at all. But almost like maybe a couple of months ago, like a couple of weeks ago, just a month ago, yeah, a couple of months ago, I was kind of like a somebody that key I have subtitle. So what if I kind of like a convert that subtitle into the readable text? So I convert that readable text through the chat GPT, through the AI, and I print that particular book. And when I read that book, it felt kind of like something very incredible, because while reading that particular text, reading that particular book, I'm not just kind of like a simply understand my thoughts even more, but as also I understand the reflection of the thoughts. What's the reflection of the thoughts? Okay, yeah. So whatever the things that I say in this kind of like artifact, it's a kind of like a something just a one way of communication. Means like I'm saying that thing, no one is actually hearing, no one is actually giving me any kind of like a something feedback. Okay, yeah. Because yeah, it's a kind of like a something mobile phone and it's recording everything. Okay, yeah. But when I read that particular in the thoughts in the book format, I kind of like a simply understand, I kind of like a judge my thoughts that ki, oh, the things that I say in this particular artifact was completely wrong. Okay. So I just have to understand my feedback thing. Like basically in the artifact, I just have to understand that ki, the whatever the stuff that I say is a kind of like a somebody good or not. Because when I said some sort of thing like a right now is a kind of like a some spur of the moment. Okay, like basically whatever the thoughts inside of me, I just kind of like saying this thing. Okay, yeah, it's kind of like simply essential to get the feedback, and I don't really get any feedback from last 10 year. Like I was actually recording this thing from 10 year and I haven't really get any kind of like simply feedback. This is the way, like this is kind of like a simply way, if I read my thought process through the book format, I kind of like a simply understand my thoughts, and kind of like a simply giving myself a kind of like a simply feedback, so that whenever I kind of like a record new artifact, I was understand that ki, oh, this is the kind of like a something thing, a perspective that I should supposed to be look at that. Okay, yeah. And I found so many things, like I was kind of like a simply how wrong I was. Like basically it's this thing that ki, almost like a years ago in 2017, okay, yeah, I was recorded an artifact regarding about my sex dream. Okay, yeah, in that particular sex dream, I was kind of like a simply thinking about my neighbors, and like neighbors means like that ki, okay, sorry, it's a sex dream. Okay, like I was kind of like a something very ashamed of kind of like a things, but I said that thing in the artifact, like in detail everything. It's a kind of like a particular like a porn thing, okay, but in audio format. Okay, I was like really fucked up things. Like when I read that particular text, I was like, oh my god, how wrong I was. Like basically it was like really wrong. Okay, yeah. So this is kind of like a something is this thing that I should supposed to be understand that the things that I say in the past is right or wrong. And if I'm kind of like a wrong, then I should supposed to be understand what is actually my limit, and what kind of like a limit that I shouldn't supposed to be cross, which is kind of like something very essential for me, because in the future I'm gonna kind of like a something handle such a position, or I'm gonna kind of like a say some sort of thing which is kind of like a matter for so many people. Okay, yeah. So it is really essential for me that the things that I say is a at least right. Okay, yeah, or kind of like at least right for more and more people, not kind of like a something wrong. Okay, yeah. So this is kind of like a something converting document is kind of like a something helping me to understand what is actually my thoughts and everything. Okay, yeah. So uh so kind of like a simply couple of months ago, I was kind of like a simply doing such a thing, like whatever kind of like a some subtitle that YouTube is generated, as kind of like a copy that subtitle, paste it on the chat gpt is kind of like arrange the grammatical mistakes, formatting, everything, uh, make it fun to read. And when I kind of like read that thing, it's really good. Okay, yeah, I understand my point of perspective. Okay, yeah. So, but problem is that yeah, I was just uploaded almost like a last year's of artifact episode. Okay, yeah, I haven't really been record any kind of, I haven't been really uploaded any kind of like a previous artifact, which is like a really massive library, almost like a 3,000 artifact, which is like a 3,000, more than 3,000. Okay, so which is like really crazy. Okay, yeah. So, but I wanted to do this thing. I wanted to understand my point of perspective. So almost like a week ago, I was decided that ki, let's upload the previous of artifact. So I was actually uploading my artifact since the beginning. Okay, I means like that since 2015 I started recording artifact. So I was kind of like uploading those artifact on the YouTube platform. Okay, yeah. So the process is kind of like a very, first of all is that there are so many files, okay, like a 3,000 files, okay. From understand point of perspective, okay, 3,000 number is a kind of like a something very far less for you, okay, because 3,000, yeah, but have you start counting from 0 to 1,000, okay, yeah, it will take you almost like hours to complete thousands. It was that I'm talking about 3,000 files. Okay, so that means, and those are audio files. Okay, I have to kind of like a put in the Premiere Pro, put the kind of like a some audio filter effects, audio filter effect, so that it kind of like enhance the video audio quality. As also kind of like I just have to put the kind of like a some two graphics, the name and the artifact episode number, and the kind of like a something just a date, like a when it kind of like a record, and I just have to export that thing. Okay, yeah. So I was kind of like exporting such a artifact from kind of like somebody last week. Oh yeah, that's why I haven't been really record any of artifact from the last week. Nothing really at all. Like I was kind of like somebody so busy. Like I was kind of like decided that let's wake up, let's do those things. Okay, yeah. So how many artifact did I uploaded? Okay, yeah. Like in 2015 I uploaded almost. In 2016 I also uploaded. 2017 is also already uploaded. 2018 is remaining. I'm actually uploading 2018. 2018 means like that I'm talking about like in a year I'm actually uploading almost like a 300 artifact. So basically is this thing I'm actually uploaded almost like a 400 artifact, 400, yeah, probably, yeah, like somewhat maybe the number ups and downs maybe, but yeah, almost I uploaded like a 4 to 500 of artifact episode from last week, yeah, since the last week, like basically from 8th of February, yeah, I started uploading things. And yeah, I was kind of like somebody busy, like basically just wake up and do those things, not wake up, but it's just like that ki I have other responsibilities too. Okay, yeah, what responsibility? Like I know I have to upload those artifacts. Okay, yeah, other responsibility, first responsibility is regarding about the Instagram and YouTube platform. Okay, yeah, I'm not only just uploading artifact, I'm actually uploading my graphics too. Okay, yeah, like I'm usually graphics designer, photo editor, something like that, and I also kind of like upload those content on those platform, another channel I have. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing that ki usually those are graphics are kind of like assembly I uploaded too much, so basically which is all kind of like assembly schedule. Okay, yeah, so I'm not really rush in that particular graphics things. Okay, yeah, I already created so many content so that it kind of like assembly schedule. So for me it's a kind of like assembly, okay, yeah, it's, yeah. So I have kind of like a week of time. Week of time means like that till the 18th of February. Today's date is almost like a 12th of February. So that means I have 6 day. Okay, yeah. So during this 6 day, I'm kind of like a thinking that I should supposed to be upload at least like a 500 or 600 artifact. Okay, yeah. And then like a basically I don't know, there are so many things. Okay, yeah. Probably this will not gonna happen within almost like a, maybe a week, nothing really at all, because I'm talking about like a thousands of artifact, like a 3,000s of artifact, which is like a crazy insane number. Okay, yeah. By the way, because of I'm kind of like a doing this uploading artifact on the YouTube platform, because of this thing, I was kind of like a simply compromising so many things. First of all, artifact. Okay, yeah. Like basically, I usually record artifact episode during the night. Like after I ate my dinner, I usually record artifact. But because of this kind of like uploading things and kept in busy and everything, because I have to upload, I have to export at least like a 200 episode every single day. So because of this thing, I was like a compromising everything, like a artifact, not only just artifact, sleep. From last week I was kind of like simply sleeping, the average sleep that I'm getting almost like a 6 hour, yeah, just 6 hours. Okay, yeah. So it's been really kind of like impacting me a lot. Right now I'm not really good at right now. My body is kind of like something really exhausted, and it's not really good for me. Okay, yeah. So I really need to sleep. So today I decided that that's why I'm recording artifact today. Okay, because like I haven't really like like I'm kind of like decided that let's record artifact, let's be kind of like something be clear, and then today I should supposed to be get sleep, at least 8 hour of sleep I should supposed to be get tonight, and I will definitely get that thing. All right, yeah. So yeah, this is all this regarding about the artifact. Okay, yeah. By the way, it's been almost like a 10 year. Have we been actually recording artifact for almost like a 10 years? So, which is like really good. Yeah, really great. Okay, yeah. I'm not really celebrating that kind of like assembly guy, but it's kind of like assembly. It's a I achieve like I. It's kind of like assembly achievement that I did. All right, yeah. So which is really good. Okay, yeah. So, should I ask question in this artifact? Not really. Okay, yeah. Why? Because I don't know, yeah. Right now I'm just like not really into that zone. Okay, yeah. I just wanted to clear up my mindset and everything. By the way, will you record artifact tomorrow? Yes, I will definitely gonna record artifact, and I'm definitely gonna upload artifact on the YouTube platform too. Okay, yes. I have almost like a 6 days remaining, so I'm kind of like a putting all those efforts. And how many files are remaining? Well, probably phase one files are all done. Okay, yeah, phase two files are remaining. There are almost like a 300 files are remaining. Okay, 300, 400 files probably. And then another files like, yeah, probably it will take time. Okay, like mostly just like that within almost like 6 7 days, like whatever the day that I have, like a 6 days. In this 6 day, I'm kind of like a schedule that 400 files should supposed to be done. Okay, yeah. So yes, I'm gonna plan that thing and it will get regarding about graphics design. I do have a kind of like some time, and I do have kind of like some schedule all those kind of like a designs, but I have to make sure that yeah, I just have to do those things. By the way, also I wanted to talk that ki in Instagram I achieved 10,000 followers, which is like a really good. Okay, yeah, like a hard work is actually paid off. So yeah, and I'm actually doing this thing content creation for almost like 5 years. So like right now I'm not really earning any money, but yeah, it's a kind of like a some but just a small step to get succeed. So yeah, that's good. All right, yeah. By the way, there are a couple of things that I wanted to say. Okay, in this artifact, and what are those? First of all, is that there is some sort of thoughts inside of me, basically is this thing from almost like a year. Yeah, I was actually kind of like something. In year, I was kind of like a recording artifact, and I was not actually like usually when I started like okay, yeah, okay. So purpose of artifact. Okay, so why I started this artifact and what is actually the purpose? What is actually this thing is serve? So I started this thing artifact for kind of like a only one purpose is that whatever the things or whatever the thoughts that I have, I just kind of like only express these thoughts in this audio format thing. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing I was kind of like a doing this thing. Okay, yeah. Basically what is really happen every single day. I was kind of like a telling this thing. Okay, yeah. But lately, from last couple of years, there is nothing really happen every single day. Nothing really. Just like I wake up, I do my things and sleep, and yeah, like basically is this thing that I'm not actually traveling there and there and there, and my life is not really that much excited that I should supposed to talk about that I went there and this happened, this happened. No, like I'm actually kind of like a staying at home and doing my work, and probably there is nothing really kind of like a stay that I should supposed to be say. Like there is nothing really kind of like a stuff that I should supposed to be say. It's nothing really at all. So I was kind of like a simply change artifact little bit. Means like that I was actually asking questions to myself. Okay, yeah. So which is really good. Okay, it kind of like a became really good. Like when I asked this question to myself, like a couple of questions regarding about everything, like your values, your creativity, your thought process, everything. Okay, yeah. Like I just asked a bunch of questions to myself and I'm giving those answers to myself, which is also really good too. Yeah, I understand because of if I'm asking these questions to myself, I'm understanding myself even more better. Okay, yeah, which is also became really good. Okay, yeah. But since then, I was kind of like I was not really talking about every day what exactly happened. I was kind of like asking questions and giving them answer, and this is all I do for almost like a last 2 3 years. I was a kind of like a doing such a thing. Okay, yeah. But since I kind of like a something exploring my older artifact, I realized that the beauty of kind of like a somebody seeing that thing after a long period of time, it's kind of like a different. What do you mean by that? Okay, yeah. So let me tell you one thing, that key usually when I ask question in the artifact episode, I'm kind of like telling my thought process regarding about that questions, right? Yeah, but it's also really essential what exactly happened on that day. It's a, I don't know, yeah, like basically asking question to yourself is also really essential, and also kind of like a something like telling about what exactly happened inside, what exactly happened in your life, and you have to tell that thing is also really essential too. Okay, yeah. So I decided that I should supposed to be talk what exactly happened in day, and as well as I would kind of like simply ask questions to myself regarding about stuff and stuff. Okay, yeah. So yes, and during the editing process, because I also decided that I should supposed to be upload the artifact for rest of the period of lifetime. So probably it's a very long period of lifetime. So I don't know, but yeah. But will it be kind of like a something really not that good, na? Like if I'm kind of like somebody saying some sort of thing which is actually happening in my life, which is something really wrong, na? Like if I'm, it's like wrong means like that. Ki, like since you upload this artifact on the YouTube platform, it will your thoughts become public, na? Okay, yeah, and might be some people will gonna hurt because of the your thought process and things like that. So how do you supposed to I will try. Okay, yeah, I will try to not. I don't know. Yeah, how do I supposed to proceed this thing? I'm not really sure, but I will figure something out. Okay, I just had some sort of moment. I don't know. Like I just okay, yeah. Like basically this thing, na ki, uh, I am actually recording artifact from last year. From like I was actually recording this artifact for almost like a decade. Okay, yeah, but I haven't really like just record. I haven't really listened those things. I haven't really get the feedback from the my artifact. Nothing really at all. I just record the shits and that's it. Okay, yeah. But since I'm kind of like simply consuming my artifact, then I realize that ki how good or bad it is. I kind of like understand the feedback and everything. So probably this thing right now I'm not really kind of like a somebody in that particular position that I should supposed to be say, should I supposed to be kind of like a somebody, I don't know, yeah. Okay, yeah, whatever kind of like a somebody thought process will gonna change, I will gonna let you know. But at this moment I have to understand myself. Okay, yeah, because it's a lot of thing. All right, yeah. Okay, so let's kind of like a somebody talk about things that kind of like a somebody stuck inside of me, that I wanted to talk. Stuck inside of me, it's not stuck, but I don't live it. I just wanted to express my opinion. Okay, yeah, what is at least this thing? Okay, yeah. So a couple of days ago, okay, so there is a YouTuber named Samay Rena. Okay, Samay Rena, he's a kind of like a somebody guy. He's a comedian guy, by the way. Okay, yeah, and he do kind of like a somebody comedy stuff like that. Okay, by the way, he has his YouTube channel, and he was kind of like uploading his comedy content for almost like a maybe like 7 to 8 year, yeah. Okay, almost like a year he was kind of like a simply have an idea that ki, what if he would kind of like a create such a content which is called India's Got Latent. Okay, yeah, what's India's Got Latent, what exactly is this thing? Okay, yeah. So India's Got Latent is a kind of like a somebody show where it's a kind of like a somebody like a, it's a kind of like a somebody just a, okay, what is exactly this show? Okay, yeah. uh, India's Got Talent and India's Got Latent is a kind of like a two different show. Okay, yeah. India's Got Talent is kind of like a show where kind of like a somebody, whoever the person who has some sort of kind of like a somebody creativity or some sort of kind of like a something like that creativity that they wanted to show. This is a kind of like assembly platform they would kind of like assembly show. Okay, yeah. So India's Got Talent is a kind of like assembly show where you could show your kind of like assembly creativity, talent, whatever you like, and do your drawing, your singing, your hip hopping, whatever it is. Okay, yeah. It might be kind of like some of the things that like I'm not really understand. Like there are people who have comes with a lot of gifts and things, and they have kind of like a very different creativity and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. So India's Got Talent is a kind of like a simply a stage, a platform that you could kind of like a showcase that particular thing. Okay, yeah. But when you kind of like executing that particular show with kind of like a something sense of manner. What's the sense of manner? A sense of manner means like that respect regarding about the person who is actually showcasing their talent. As a judges, they would kind of like actually judge, and not only they have to judge their kind of like a craft, but as also they have to judge their craft regarding about their kind of like a somebody with respect. Okay, yeah, with kind of like a somebody, yeah, like you shouldn't supposed to be kind of like a discriminating or kind of like a saying some sort of bad stuff regarding about their craft and things like that. No, it's just kind of like a their craft, and you have to kind of like a judge him as a kind of like a judge point of perspective, not kind of like a somebody kind of like a just a respected way. Okay, like basically is this kind of like a somethingly somethingly is this thing that ki um a friend from office and a friend from your college. Okay, yeah, like basically how do you kind of like simply interact with your friends of college, like when you met your friends of college, you were kind of like blurred out, like you just kind of like somebody just release all the stress and everything, and you just say a lot of kind of like some stuff that probably it's not good, like a saying some sort of like a teasing words or gali or something like that, like a fuck what everything. Okay, like we would kind of like a somebody say so many things to your kind of like a somebody college friend, because it's kind of like a somebody okay, yeah, because like when you say like like the bond between the college friend and school friend is a kind of like something very different, like आप गाली भी दे दो कोई bind नहीं करेगा. Okay, yeah, but when you friends with kind of like a somebody office colleague or kind of like a somebody co-worker, then it became something very different. Okay, yeah, because when you are in that particular office colleague, okay, yeah, it's kind of like somebody your friend too, which is kind of like a very different, because in that particular situation you have to understand the boundaries. What is boundary? A professional boundaries mean professional boundaries means like that you should supposed to be respect that guy, understand that point of like perspective, and as also is this thing that key you shouldn't supposed to be disrespect that person, even if kind of like a somebody just I don't know, yeah. Okay, but you like in the professional world, you have to kind of like maintain that particular professionalness. Okay, yeah, like a kind of like a maintain that particular sense that you are a big professional. Okay, yeah. When you are with your friends, you just act as a vulgar as you can. It didn't really affect that much. Okay, yeah. But when you do the kind of like a vulgarity with your kind of like a co-worker and things like that, it affect on your career. Okay, yeah, because these are the co-worker, and basically it happened, it kind of like affect on your career. So basically it's a kind of like a some sort of boundaries that you have and that you shouldn't supposed to be crossed in the professional world. Same thing happened with the India's Got Talent. In the India's Got Talent, they would kind of like a judge and things like that, and they would kind of like a somebody very respected with manner and things like they would kind of like a saying this thing with very respected way and stuff like that. All right, yeah. Now India's Got Talent is a kind of like a somebody show that doesn't really kind of like a have that boundary. Nothing really at all. They just kind of like a blurred that like a if they wanted to say something really stuff that not allow, like gali bhi de dena, bakchudi kar dena, like this is kind of like some things are allowed there. Like you could say so many things like a maa ki gali, behan ki gali, baap ki gali. You could say so many things in that particular show. It's a kind of like a somebody just yeah. So how this kind of like something that show is actually on air? By basically this thing is actually uploaded on the YouTube platform. YouTube has a kind of like a assembly community, sorry, a policy regarding about showcasing that particular content. What is actually this thing? Okay. So basically, if you are broadcasting your content on the television, you went to the censor board. Okay, yeah, like basically your content is went to censor board. Censor board is actually giving you permission regarding about what should you supposed to air and what should you supposed to not. Why? Because of that key, when your content is went to the television, that means your content will be visible for millions of people. Okay, which will affect on their thought process and things like that. So probably we should supposed to be give the censor. Okay, what is actually censor? A censor means like that key, like a some sort of word that will it be kind of like something harmful for the people or not. Okay, so it is really essential for every point of perspective, like a understanding there, like basically if there is a guy who's kind of like some discriminating regarding about culture and things like that, so which is really not that good now. Like if you broadcasting this content on the television, this might be kind of like a hurt lot of people, and will it not good. Okay, so it is really essential to censor that particular thing. But in the YouTube platform, there is no censor at all. nothing really at all. Huh, probably is this thing they have kind of like a something that key copyright thing, and kind of like a something you shouldn't supposed to be upload your porn and things like that on the YouTube platform. Nothing really at all. But these are kind of like a something that pornographic content and everything will be censored because it's kind of like a something visual, but the verbal thing will not gonna censor. Okay, why? Because like in the television there is some sort of people who is actually sensory, like they actually watch that particular show and they understand that this part is good, this part is not. Okay, yeah, basically it's the people who judge that particular content. Okay, yeah, but in the YouTube there is no people at all, like basically if you upload that video there is no kind of like a some censor body who is kind of like a reviewing your video. No, nothing at all, because in the YouTube platform there are almost like a millions of videos upload every single hour, every single minute. How would it supposed to be kind of like a something how people who would judge that video? Nothing really at all. So in the YouTube platform it's a kind of like a something censor free ship. Okay, like without any censor you would kind of like upload their content. And by the way, because of this thing lots of creator have kind of like a something get credibility regarding about like if they're not really censor, then that means like we should supposed to be create such a content which is kind of like a little bit of vulgar and things like that. India's Got Latent is one of those. Okay, yeah. India's Got Latent is kind of like a somebody showcasing such a talent which kind of like a somebody represent little bit creativity but with vulgar things. Okay, yeah. So some people are kind of like a liking at, actually not some people, most of people are liking at, because like basically just understand ना, एक बंदा दूसरे बंदे को गाली दे रहा है. Okay, yeah. And and as a natural human being we could kind of like a laugh in that particular situation. What do you mean by that? Okay, yeah. So basically just like that game, imagine yourself with your kind of like a group of circle, group of friend of your circle, and basically is this thing एक बंदा दूसरे बंदे को गाली दे रहा है, तो at that moment you would kind of like a suddenly smile and things like that, or kind of like a be fun at that moment, because भाई दोस्तों के बीच में आप गाली दे रहे हो, बकचोदी कर रहे हो, at that time you are kind of like a sharing laugh, which is really also really good. Same experience is actually happened on that particular show, India's Got Latent. There is no scripted, there is nothing really at all. There are kind of there are almost like a 4 or 5 people are kind of like a judging that particular contestant, and that consider actually kind of like a doing such a very crazy thing, like a really crazy thing. Okay, yeah, with very vulgarity and stuff like that. And by the way, judges are also kind of like aware of that key. These are kind of like assembly people are kind of like assembly showcasing their vulgar thing, and they also kind of like a promote that little bit of vulgar thing. What's a vulgar thing? A vulgar thing means like that key गाली दे देना, बकचोदी कर देना, like some of the stuff that. Okay, yeah. Is it wrong? Like, is it kind of like something that showcasing vulgar thing, which is really something really wrong? Well, I have to understand very different point of perspective. Okay, yeah. So probably is this thing we are kind of like entering in such a world where kind of like a something the professionalism, like being respected and being kind of like a vulgar, has a kind of like a very thin kind of like a difference. What's a thin kind of like a difference? Okay, yeah. um like basically is this thing, if I wanted to be succeed, okay, if I wanted to kind of like a be my success, what should I supposed to do, what kind of like a stuff that meant to me to keep me success? Okay, is this thing that you have to get study, you have to kind of like a get good grades, okay, you have to get a good job, and you will get kind of like a something money, and you will have kind of like a somebody respected family, and then you will get married. It's called successful life. Is it called successful life? Yeah, it's a successful life. Okay, yeah. Basically is this thing like basically almost like a 10 year ago, 20 year ago, this is kind of like some formula that they have. Okay, yeah, like you should supposed to be kind of like a work hard to get succeed. Okay, yeah, but a YouTube is a kind of like a somebody of such a profession which is very different. Okay, yeah, in the YouTube platform you have to showcase your creativity. Okay, yeah, same thing happened with the India's Got Talent. Okay, yeah, but in the India's Got Talent is a kind of like something only one way, like you have to kind of like a opportunity of one time, that's it. Okay, yeah, but YouTube is a kind of like a somebody giving you opportunity that millions of time, means like that ki you can not only just showcase your craft but you could improve your craft too. Okay, yeah, like example is this thing, I'm a dancer, I love dancing. Okay, I started uploading kind of like my dance video on the YouTube platform. Okay, yeah, at the beginning I'm not really getting any views, but since I'm kind of like a be consistent and so consistent about regarding about my craft. I'm not only improve my craft, as also I improve my craft with the views and kind of like a subscriber and things like that. Okay, yeah. Which is kind of like a YouTube work this way. Okay, and algorithm, the YouTube algorithm also really work on this way too. Okay, yeah. But regarding about vulgarity, okay, yeah, which is very different, because in this thing na ki, like important thing is that now how much video people are watch. Okay, yeah, it depends on, like, there is no people who's kind of like somebody judging, that I already mentioned regarding about the censorship in the YouTube. There is no censorship at all. Okay, yeah. So in that particular moment, in that particular thing, the people who are kind of like a something laugh on that particular show when they watch that India's Got Talent and things like India's Got Latent, they are kind of like a getting a lot of views and things like that. By the I'm kind of like a talking for almost like a 35 minute. I'm kind of like a somebody tired of recording about things. Okay, yeah. Maybe now I shouldn't supposed to be talk about such thing, because lately it's not really my kind of like a something subject that I should supposed to be talk. Okay, and whatever the controversy is actually happened regarding about the Samay Raina and then Ranveer Alihabad beer bicep is something like that really wrong. Okay, yeah. Um, but what is actually controversies actually happened? Well, Beer Bicep is also kind of like a somebody YouTuber. Samir Rana is also really YouTuber. Samir Rana is actually created show like India's Got Latent. In that particular show, and Ranveer Alabadia is also kind of like a somebody came as a judge. Okay, in that particular judge, there is kind of like a contestant who is kind of like a somebody showcasing their craft and creativity. All right, yeah, with very vulgar thing. Okay, like with very vulgar thing, with very vulgar approach. Okay, yeah. People are don't really mind, because it's a kind of like a people are laughing at thing and vagara vagara. But there is a one comment which went very viral. What is actually one comment? Okay, yeah. So basically, is this thing Ranveer Alabadia said a kind of like a somebody joke to a contestant in that particular show, that ki, will you sleep with your parents? Which is like or maybe like if your parents are doing a sex, will you join them? Which is like really wrong. Okay, yeah, like this joke is like really wrong. Okay, yeah. Why I'm saying this thing wrong? Because I'm belong to the India, and basically your parents are kind of like a something very important thing. Okay, it's a kind of like a something foundation of your life. It's a foundation of your like a basically is this thing na, कि this joke is not meant for India or Indian, like it's not catering the Indian audience, because it kind of like a something very showing very hurtful message. Okay, yeah. It actually best for like a, in the Western media, like this is actually joke is actually also kind of like a something showcase in the Western media too. But in the Western media, they don't really have that kind of like a something family culture. Okay, yeah. Like basically is this thing like not only they just kind of like they actually sleep with their kind of like a somebody parents or stepfather, stepmother, whatever it is. Okay, yeah. We have a bunch of videos in the porn too. Okay, but in Indian context, it's kind of like a something very wrong, because in the Indian context, we associate our parents are kind of like a somebody first guru or first teacher. Okay, yeah, and we've been also really like a really connected with your ground roots and stuff like that. Okay, yeah, and cracking this joke in the Indian audience, which is like a really bad. Okay, yeah. Okay, but another thing is also like the person who cracked that joke. Okay, the Ranveer Alabadia, yeah. Because this guy is a kind of like a somebody very good. Like basically he's a master of spiritual thing. He talk with such a people who is like really incredible in his craft. Like basically Ranveer, like the like I was actually looked up. Ranveer Alabadia is a kind of like a somebody very kind of like a spiritual guy, like a very kind of like a somebody just very like a, if the Samay Rena cracked that particular joke, I would kind of like somebody say that yeah, okay, because Samay Rena is kind of like somebody always be a comedian, and he always kind of like a showcasing their kind of like a comedy style in vulgar way. Yeah, it's kind of like a somebody I associate with this thing, and basically he like a Samay Rena cracked that this joke, then this might be yeah, okay. Like basically I think that case Samirana is actually kind of like a somebody such a guy, this kind of like a stuff, and he would do that stuff, and it's okay for doing this stuff. But it just like Ranveer is actually doing such a thing, then it might kind of like a something, because most of people are looking at the Ranveer is a kind of like a somebody, a very person who is like a really good at understanding things, and like a like just he's in his video he was kind of like a talking about lot of good stuff, like a really good stuff. Okay, yeah. Now he's suddenly talking about like when your parents are kind of like a fucking each other, will you join them or not? Like what the fuck is this thing, dude? Like, have you lost your mind? Okay, yeah. And when he say this thing, Samir and I laugh, all those contestants laugh, all the audience are laugh, everyone is laugh. Okay, yeah. And basically it's a kind of like on that particular moment everyone is laugh, like yeah. But it's just like that now, when you see that particular just a clip in the video format in your mobile phone, then you realize that, oh, this is wrong. Then you are not laugh in that particular moment, because it's completely not good. Like it kind of like a spoil the relation with your child, with your parents and things like that. And it's a really bad. Okay, yeah. So because of this thing, controversy started, and from last 2 days, and it's been kind of like a simply just so many things that actually happened. Like India's got like a whatever the video is actually uploaded on the YouTube platform regarding about India's Got Talent. All the videos are taken down. Okay, there are almost like a 7 to 8 videos are uploaded. All those videos are taken down. Okay, yeah. Samirana is getting a lot of kind of like some negative black backlashes, as also Ranveer Alabadia is also getting a lot of backlashes, negative comments and stuff like that, because Ranveer is a kind of like a somebody person who is kind of like a associate with all those really good things. Like a he talked with a really crazy person, like a basically like yeah, like he's like I don't know. Yeah, when I watched the podcast of him, he realized that like I realized that he was like a really very crazy person. But when he says those things throughout his mouth, I realized that, dude, that's really wrong. Okay, yeah. But regarding about joke, what I'm trying is Samay Rena and Ranveer Alabadia is a kind of like something wrong. Okay, but I would not say that. But okay, yeah. Regarding about the content, okay, yeah, the joke is good. Okay, yeah. By the way, if I am in that particular moment, I would also laugh too on that kind of like a, if I'm into that particular panel, or if I'm kind of like a part of the audience, I would kind of like a laugh in that particular joke too. Okay, yeah. But what I'm trying to tell you is this thing, कि this joke is kind of like a something catering a such a people who is kind of like a far less in India. What do you mean by that? Okay, yeah. So this kind of like a somebody sleeping with your parents and stuff like that. Okay, yeah, it's like a really wrong thing, by the way, saying this thing, but still, is kind of like a somebody very wrong. Okay, yeah. And as also is this thing that ki um like a basically consuming this content, it is really required to be kind of like a somebody very high level of understanding things. Okay, what's a high level of understanding things? A kind of like a somebody humor. Okay, what is that humor? Okay, yeah. A humor means like that ki you would probably kind of like a somebody cracking some sort of joke. Okay, and you don't really mind at all. Okay, you just laugh at that moment, and that is okay, because it's kind of like a sort of just a humor. And okay, yeah. But when you have less humor, means like that you are taking things always seriously, then probably this is kind of like a something very wrong. Okay, yeah. In India, the humor ratio is kind of like a something very less. Means like that people are not really that like civilized right now. What do you mean by that? Like if I'm kind of like a somebody civilized, if I'm kind of like a something like PhD or any kind of like a educated person, that means I have kind of like a very good humor. That means I would kind of like a simply just like a, if there is some sort of person who's kind of like a teasing me, I'm just kind of like consider as a humor and I just let it go. No, nothing like at all. Like just okay, yeah, it's a what's a comedy? Okay, yeah, like you have to understand some sort of thing. What's a comedy? A comedy means like that a kind of like a somebody reflection of whatever the actual thing is actually happened inside of you. You are kind of like a somebody cultivate that reflection to the comedic way, right? Yeah, like example is this thing that key comedy regarding about my life, my school, my college, my girlfriend, my things and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. लाइक बेसिकली मैं कह सकता हूँ कि भाई मेरी गर्लफ्रेंड इतनी कमचोर है, इतनी बकचोदी है, ऐसा है, लाइक माई गर्लफ्रेंड इज काइंड ऑफ लाइक अ stealing my money, or my girlfriend is kind of like a simply doing the things that I don't really like, and something like that. So in that particular context I might gonna laugh, or in that particular context, if my friend is kind of like a telling about her girlfriend and things like that, I might gonna laugh. Okay, yeah, because it's okay, yeah, it's kind of like a, something just add the humor and things like that, and okay, stuff like that. Okay, yeah, but is this thing when I look that perspective in very different way? Example is this thing that if my friend is actually talking about her girlfriend regarding about this and bad stuff, I'm kind of like a laughing and stuff like that. But suddenly there is another guy who is also in that particular conversation, and who actually tell that all those conversation to his girlfriend, then this might be something really wrong, because in that particular thing he was kind of like a saying wrong thing regarding about girlfriend, and then when that girlfriend is find out that he was kind of like a saying this that thing, then this might be kind of like something very bad. Okay, yeah. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing, that the context is same, but when you consume that context in very different way, then it became very differently. What do you mean by that? Okay, yeah, like I don't know, yeah. Okay, let's just say tax. Okay, yeah, like basically Indian government impose a tax to the citizen of things, and that it always happened, वगैरह वगैरह. Okay, yeah. Imagine you are in the kind of like a some comedy club, and there is a comedian who is kind of like a cracking that joke, a tax joke. Okay, yeah, you are kind of like a laugh on that particular joke and things like that. Because why? Because our humor are kind of like a depend on multiple things, not only just a joke but environment too. Okay, yeah, like basically if the kind of like a somebody, that comedian who's cracked that joke, even if that joke is kind of like a somebody very serious, but everyone is laughing, everyone's kind of like a associate as a part of laugh, you are also, your brain is also kind of like a somebody wants to be a part of that craft tool, part of that environment too, and you are kind of like a going towards that thing. Okay, yeah. But it's just like that na, ki when you are kind of like a consuming the same content with a very serious tone, then it kind of like a, you don't really laugh at that moment, you are taking this thing very seriously regarding about tax and stuff like that. All right, get it? So what I'm trying to tell you, the context is same, the execution is very different, then probably the opinion might be different, the emotion might be different. Like at some certain situation you are kind of like a laugh, at some certain situation you are kind of like a bit really serious, you just change the tone, context is same thing happened with the kind of like a somebody summer in a show in that particular, when the Ranveer is actually cracking that joke, in that particular joke everyone is kind of like a somebody laughing at that moment, because it's a spur of the moment, everyone's kind of like a laughing and things and something like that. Okay, yeah. But when you kind of like a cater that joke to the such a people who has a really less humor, really less like a, he was all like that person is kind of like a taking things very seriously, then that person is kind of like a hurt, because like he said some sort of thing regarding about parents and stuff like that, that they shouldn't supposed to be say. And then yeah, and probably in India there are so many people, like basically there are so many people who are kind of like somebody very less humor, and they are kind of like a not really consuming such a thing, that kind of like somebody is this thing. Okay, yeah. And like basically is this thing that ki somewhere in a show India's Got Latent is a kind of like somebody show is actually catering such a people who is kind of like a somebody just understanding about the humors and comedies and stuff like that, and this show is actually catering for those people. Okay, yeah, which are very less. Okay, very less. Okay, yeah, very less. Okay, yeah. Like basically, this kind of like a somebody joke is also kind of like a somebody cater to the Western audience. Okay, Western audience means like that. Like this joke is not kind of like a same first time. No, this joke is kind of like a same multiple times in a Western comedy stuff. Okay, Western media comedy stuff. But they didn't really start the controversy. Why? Because it's common, like it didn't really matter for them. Why? Because like people are kind of like civilized, they are kind of like somebody understand the humor, they also understand the point of context and things like that. Okay, they just kind of like laugh at that moment, and that's it, they don't really take that much seriously. But India, it's yeah, like literacy rate is not really that good, people are kind of like somebody very less, like they don't really have any work to do. And as also yeah, like basically is this thing in India, like we don't really have that much audience. Okay, yeah. But what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that ki the things that Ranveer says, that comment like sleeping with your parents and stuff like that, is it wrong or right? Okay, yeah, from your point of perspective. I think it's a wrong. Okay, I think I will definitely kind of like a consider it's a wrong. Okay, yeah, but I would kind of like to simply understand the future point of perspective. Okay, yeah, what do you mean by that? So basically, it's a content, na? Okay, it's a content. Like it's a dark comedy, by the way. Okay, what's a dark comedy? A comedy which kind of like a somebody associated with the kind of like a something very dark or very serious tone. Okay, on very serious subject. Okay, yeah, like basically you are kind of like a creating comedy on the rape. Okay, like a rape is a kind of like a something very serious issue, and you are kind of like a creating comedy into that thing, into that particular subject, then this might be called as a dark comedy. Okay, which is like a basically is this thing consuming that kind of like a somebody dark comedy is kind of like a somebody far less people are available. Mostly I'm talking about in India, are far less people are available. Okay, yeah. Taking down this video and kind of like starting controversy and kind of like a something is kind of like a something that I don't know what will gonna happen. Okay, like basically is this thing that key might be that vulgar content will not gonna kind of like a create more and more in the YouTube platform or any kind of like something social media. But like how much will you stop? Like basically who do you supposed to stop that? I don't know, yaar, dude. Like probably is this thing now. I would kind of like a something is this thing that key I'm not really sure the things that he would say or not say, or I don't know, yaar. Okay, like basically it's a kind of like somebody controversy started and you just can't control it at that time. Like everyone is actually talking about and giving the opinion, and I also giving the opinion regarding about stuff, and probably I'm not really sure regarding about that stuff. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I've been talking for almost like a 51 minute, but right now I feel really good. Okay, because yeah, whatever I should supposed to be end here. This is it, this then, and thank you.